It's not my boy, right?
Caleb, you didn't have to know. You just had to fucking be there. What the fuck were you doing?
Come with me. Didn't kill him! That is enough! It's all spread out, tangled, torn apart! Single fucking word.
The movie opens in a thick forest where a boy runs as fast as possible while a train speeds by on distant tracks. The boy warns Ethan about the oncoming train, urging him to quickly get off the tracks. So Ethan immediately begins untying the rope of his friend Barron, who lies unconscious. Just then, the train arrives, clearing its path regardless of obstacles. After this, the scene cuts to a construction site where Caleb Faulkner sits in his car before getting out to inspect the work. Soon, one of the customers argues with Caleb about the unreasonable price of building materials and misbehaves with him. Caleb is angered by the customer's behavior and decides to teach him a lesson on the spot. Afterwards, Caleb visits his uncle Benji, a retired military officer, and briefs him about their deal with the customers. The scene then shifts to Lyle Chambers, a state senator, addressing a press conference. He promises to provide the best services and security for the city, pledging to leave no stone unturned in protecting its citizens. Caleb returns home, knocks on the door, and pushes it open to find a party underway inside. Jackie comes out and Caleb gives him money for Barron's school supplies, including books and notebooks. Jackie then asks where Barron is. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to the railway yard where an accident has occurred. Detective Wilson and Detective Navarro arrive at the scene with Officer Parker. Caleb also rushes in, calling out for his son Barron, and is devastated when he finds his son covered with shrouds on the railway tracks. The police take Caleb to the station, trying to calm him while he struggles to accept that Barron is dead. Detective Navarro interrogates Jackie, who describes when she last saw her son.
Yesterday morning at the bus stop. Well, this is Caleb's weekend, and Caleb was supposed to pick him up. You didn't have to know. You just had to fucking be there.
Please?
Detective Navarro then shows Jackie and Caleb items found on the tracks. Jackie immediately recognizes them as Barron's belongings. She becomes furious with Caleb for failing to pick Barron up from the bus stop after school and is removed from the investigation room. Navarro shows Caleb photos of two boys who rode the bus with Barron and got off at the last stop.
Barron got off with him at the last stop.
Caleb leaves the investigation room and sees one of the boys who was with Barron in his final moments sitting in the corridor.
Do you know what happened? Do you know what happened?
Get away from him!
Detective Navarro gives Caleb his phone number and home address, offering help if needed. The next day, a funeral reception is held at Caleb's house for Barron, where people gather to mourn and offer condolences. Caleb approaches Benji, demanding to know everything the police have uncovered about Barron's case and requesting to see police tapes, since a child who knows something about Barron was at the police station. Benji urges Caleb to be patient while he works to obtain them. Caleb approaches Jackie as she does the dishes, trying to converse, but she becomes enraged and blames him directly for Barron's death. Detective Navarro and Detective Wilson attend the reception and meet with Benji and Caleb. Navarro asks if Barron seemed upset before disappearing, then reveals to Caleb that his son Barron took his own life. The following day, Senator Lyle interacts with community members while Ethan, Lyle's son, sits nearby. Lyle encourages Ethan to speak to a lady, but Ethan ignores her. Later, Caleb approaches Lyle, asking if he knows who he is. After being dismissed, Caleb sneaks into Philip's apartment to search for clues in his room. There, he discovers artwork showing Barron tied to railway tracks with Ethan standing nearby. Caleb goes straight to Benji and asks if he knows Lyle Chambers, revealing that Ethan knows what happened to Barron. Benji reveals that Ethan is the son of a future state senator and warns that confronting him could be dangerous. He assures Caleb he is investigating from the inside and will obtain the police tapes soon. Still, Caleb insists on confronting Ethan himself if Benji won't help. The next day at school, Ethan attends his class, and Caleb arrives outside. Caleb enters the building, confronts Ethan in the corridor, and asks if he killed Barron. Ethan responds that he can only share Barron's last words.
I'd rather get hit by a train than spend 1 more second with Mike.
Don't you dare!
Ethan then breaks free and runs away, with Caleb chasing him at full speed. While escaping, Ethan is struck by a speeding car and falls unconscious on the road. In a panic, Caleb picks him up, places him in the trunk of his car, and drives away, effectively kidnapping Ethan. He takes him to Barron's Cove, pulls him out of the trunk, brings him to a cabin, and traps him inside. There, Caleb intimidates Ethan, demanding the truth about what happened to Barron when he and Philip were with him. He shows him the stick figure he found in Philip's room. Scared, Ethan reveals that Barron took his own life.
Barron killed himself.
Senator Lyle addresses the press, keeping his composure as he briefs them about the kidnapping of his son, Ethan. He encourages everyone to report any information about Ethan's whereabouts, and in the heat of the moment, offers a $10,000 reward for information about Caleb Faulkner. At Barron's Cove, Caleb gives Ethan some food, asking if he likes hurting people. Caleb then visits his close friend Felix, asking for help and taking some tools under the pretense of building something. Benji hears the news that Caleb has kidnapped Lyle's son and becomes furious. Meanwhile, Caleb forcefully moves Ethan from the suffocating outhouse into the house, tying his hands to a pole and frightening him. Caleb grabs a small flamethrower machine and threatens Ethan, demanding to know what he did to Barron. Unmoved, Ethan tells Caleb to go ahead, which frustrates him. Caleb begs Ethan to tell him what actually happened to Barron, promising to take him home if he does. Ethan remarks that he doesn't want to go back home, catching Caleb off guard. At the same time, 2 hitmen arrive outside Barron's Cove on the orders of Lyle Chambers to retrieve his son. Inside, Ethan reveals to Caleb that he tried to save Barron, but can't say more because Lyle will kill him. While Lyle is on his private boat, he receives a phone call from Benji. Caleb approaches Ethan and cuts off the plastic strap, untying his hands. Later, Caleb takes Ethan to a room, providing him with a comfortable bed and new clothes. As Ethan removes his shirt, Caleb notices several bruises on Ethan's back, indicating that Lyle has mistreated him. This causes him to pity Ethan. Later, he sits on the sofa chair and dozes off. Ethan opens the photo album and picks out a photo. Outside, making the most of the night, the trio of hitmen sneaks into the house and begins looking for Caleb, who has been a hitman too. Soon they find him sleeping in. One of the henchmen of Lyle starts installing time bombs in the entire house. Caleb senses their presence, but keeps pretending to sleep. A hitman sneaks into Ethan's room to take him away, but meanwhile, Caleb shows up and attacks the intruder. In the twinkling of an eye, Caleb kills the hitman and escapes from the house with Ethan. Shortly afterward, his house, Barron's Cove, is blown up right before Caleb's eyes. However, he manages to control his boiling feelings and flees in a steamer with Ethan. Lyle arrives at a cafe and meets Benji there. Benji assures him that he will get his son back dead or alive, and demands that every district building contract run through him.
Every district building contract runs through me.
No, fuck that deal.
I know Caleb. I know how his
I'll
mind
run you
works.
down until you're either dead or in jail.
You
Stay with me.
Caleb seeks help from Felix, taking injured Ethan in his lap.
Did you do this?
Felix starts treating Ethan while tired Caleb drifts off on the stool. Moments later, Felix manages to save Ethan, relieving Caleb. Felix reveals that while dressing Ethan's wound, he saw bruises all over Ethan's body, and he said that Caleb is protecting him. Afterward, Felix hands him his car keys. Caleb approaches Ethan and asks him why his father treated him this way. Then, Ethan reveals that Lyle isn't his real father, leaving Caleb stunned. Then, he shows Caleb a photo of Barron, asking Caleb to take him there and he will tell him everything that he wants to know. Intrigued to find out the truth, Caleb takes Ethan with him and sets out for the destination in Felix's car. Moments later, they arrive at the aquarium park, Barron's favorite place. Here, Ethan reveals that at Lyle's, he collected coins in a jar and kept them under his bed. One day, Lyle found it and mistook him for stealing the coins, and gave him those bruises on the back. Then, Ethan wants Caleb to promise to take him far away from Lyle. He remarks that Barron knew what Lyle did to him, and that's why he killed Barron. After learning the truth, Caleb contacts Jackie on the phone and states that Ethan's life is in jeopardy, and he has to help him. Meanwhile, Detective Navarro, Detective Wilson, and Police Chief Stevens Albert are at Jackie's house and record Caleb's call. Caleb explains that she is the only one he can call and asks her to meet him the next morning at Lucky Star Diner on 26 near Hamlin. While the police and detectives hear him revealing his location, he asks Jackie to take Ethan across the border where he can't be found. He further says that she and Barron deserved a lot better than him. Upon hearing this, Jackie breaks down in tears and warns him not to go to Lucky Star Diner. Soon, Detective Navarro raids the nearby hotel after tracking Caleb's last location, but Caleb manages to escape with Ethan under Navarro's nose. In the heavy downpour, he arrives at Benji's house seeking help. Unaware Benji is also after him and Ethan. Caleb urges him to help Ethan go across the border so that he may remain safe. Thereafter, he will go for Lyle Chambers, who killed Barron. Caleb comes to Ethan and tells him that he has to go alone across the border, but Ethan is miffed about it. Soon, Benji's henchmen arrive and tell them they are ready to leave. Ethan and Caleb come downstairs where Benji is ready to do what he generally does. He soon orders his men to sneak attack Caleb, separating Ethan from him. Benji steps closer to the weakened Caleb and tells him that one day he promised him he would get him the police tapes. So Benji plays the tape, featuring Philip. Philip reveals that he thought they were playing a game in which Ethan gave him the rope to tie Barron down. He thought it was just a game. When Barron wanted to get up, Ethan wouldn't let him. When he tried to untie him, Ethan shoved him away. Barron started crying, but Ethan teased him and told him to shut up. Hearing this, Caleb becomes enraged, rushing in to hurt Ethan, but is controlled by Benji. Afterward, Benji leaves, commanding his men to beat Caleb black and blue. Now the scene shifts to Ethan in a hospital, and Lyle stands nearby, telling Ethan he will take good care of him. Benji's men take Caleb to a diner, and inside the washroom, Caleb sees his beaten face in the mirror. He finds a ventilator in the washroom and plans to escape through it. Hitmen call Caleb to come out, but he doesn't respond, forcing the hitmen to break into the washroom, only to find it empty. Soon after, Caleb arrives at Detective Navarro's house to seek help. At Senator Lyle Chambers' office, Benji spots Caleb standing in the distance, but the very next moment, Caleb disappears. Benji goes to Lyle, informing him about Caleb's presence in the building. So Lyle immediately leaves the stage and rushes out of the building with Ethan. He comes straight to a dock to flee by his private boat. However, before he could do so, Caleb arrives and tells Lyle that he isn't after him, but for Ethan. So Lyle hands Ethan to Caleb to save his life. Caleb pulls the gun on Ethan, while Lyle asks him to shoot Ethan at once. Meanwhile, Detective Navarro comes out of hiding, asking Lyle to put the gun down after learning his reality. Defiant, Lyle attempts to fire, but gets shot by Navarro. However, Lyle manages to shoot Caleb, causing him to fall into the water. Detective Navarro dives into the water to save Caleb from drowning. In the next scene, we see Caleb hospitalized, while Detective Navarro stands nearby. Caleb asks him about Ethan. Navarro replies that he is safe and down the hall getting looked at. Detective Navarro reveals that Ethan has confessed his guilt and told him why he killed Barron. Injured, Caleb asks him to tell him why Ethan killed Barron. Then, Detective Navarro states, in Ethan's words, he killed Barron because he wouldn't stop talking about his father, Caleb. This breaks Caleb inside. Shortly afterward, Caleb is under arrest and taken by the police. Meanwhile, Ethan sees him from upstairs. The police car arrives in an alley and suddenly stops in its way. Soon both the police officers get out of the car, leaving Caleb alone inside handcuffed. For a moment, Caleb remains confused and doesn't know what's happening. However, a moment later, everything becomes clear. Caleb finds two armed cops heading toward the car to kill him. Caleb closes his eyes and gets ready to be killed. Moments later, he finds his son Barron in the car and becomes happy, revealing he is dead now.